Look, I dressed in combination. The car looking blue.
I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law.
This is the Ford Ranger Raptor. First time I drove this was across the northern Sahara in Morocco. Really hard across their massive sand dunes. Now I've brought it to the very flat Midlands of Portlaoise. This, pound for pound, would be the best off-road vehicle you can buy on the market today, but it does have a fundamental flaw if you want to buy it as a commercial vehicle. We're going to get into that. You're going to have to hit the subscribe button, grab a cup of tea or coffee or maybe something stronger. It's kind of Christmas, isn't it? Let's have a look on the inside of the Ford Ranger Raptor. Now, before I shut the door, so I must say here, this runner board is actually metal. I mean, it's solid as rock. That thing, right there, brilliant. Good clunk as well from that door, different from a lot of Fords. Now, when you get in, you realize you are in a Ranger. You know, it does feel like a Ford Ranger in here as well, apart from the gear stick, which is a full automatic. This one has the gearbox on the Mustang, 10-speed. It's actually two gearboxes that have been smashed together to make a 10-speed gearbox. One is out of the Ford F-150, I think, and the other one's out of the standard manual gearbox. They've just kind of mashed together the two of them to make a 10-speed box. Very clever. Infotainment system we'll come to in a minute. The dashboard has this kind of leather feel to it. The blue stitching is very, very nice. Raptor's written on the bottom of the steering wheel, and when you start up the car it says Ford Performance. That's actually on the door sill down there as well. Cup holders are huge. Unleash your Raptor. Got that in Morocco. Really good. Fits in there perfectly. And there's a door pocket over here. It also fits another water bottle in it easily, and plenty of stuff to fit on there too. Now, there is settings on this to change how the car behaves. So you can have sport mode, off-road mode, mud, sand mode, all that sort of stuff is in the system here. We've actually got a physical 2 high, 4 high and 4 low switch here, and a limit and a lock differential button. So this has some serious off-road credentials for sure. Underneath the system, underneath the car, there is a whole system that comes from Fox Racing in the USA, which is why this car rides and glides across the surface of the road, no matter what the surface is. And trust me, I can honestly say these words. I have never tested a car as hard as I have tested this car in Morocco and here in Ireland. I've given it no quarter. I've driven everywhere on the motorway at 120 kilometers an hour. I've driven off-road everywhere I can. So let's just start it up for a second. That sound outside is a 2-litre diesel engine that's in this. It's not the 3.2 that you get. That 3.2 is going to be discontinued soon. So if you're looking for a good wild track or Raptor Ranger, get a 3.2 one at the moment. The Ford, everything else is Ford in here, right? You're not going to get anywhere else. There's a lot of these messages. Unit only gives guidance, okay, and then it asks you about a Wi-Fi connection to connect up and update the system, and you go no every time you get in. In front of me here is the standard sort of layout from a Ford, but I do have some, they're sort of italic, they're like the sport version of them. And then I have the normal Ford Connect system, which is brilliant. It absolutely works. It's a great system, works perfectly. Climate control is in here. It's all physical stuff underneath. There's the network connection needed. Pops up as well. So climate controls up here and down here, and physical buttons, plus and minus and all that. You got two 12-volt sockets. You got 2 USB ports on here. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto works flawlessly. App of the week. I've been playing about with an app called Waze. If you're not aware of what Waze is, I know some of you will go, I've been using Waze for years. I logged into Waze a long time ago. It was pretty good at the time, but it wasn't up to standard of Google Maps. Now, absolutely brilliant. Waze is deadly. It gives you all kinds of information about traffic ahead and other Wazers that are around you stuff. Very clever. Download it and start using it, please, in Ireland. It's really good. You can also put in where you've seen a local speed camera or the Gardaí on the side of the road if you want to put that in as well into your Waze as you go along. Get the passenger to do that for you. Don't do that yourself. Don't touch your phone while driving. Anyway, the rest of the stuff in here, it has actually got a sunglasses holder, which is unusual in cars these days. The sun is blinding me there. It has the information here in front, so it's got an auto lane keeping system, but it's not auto cruise control or anything in it, and it's got automatic windshield wipers. Physically, I do feel huge in this car. Just sitting up, I feel broad and wide across the whole width of the car, and yet it's dainty. It just goes wherever you want it to go. Pointed towards the ditch and just drive in over the top of it, it'll do that fine because of the suspension underneath. Practicality wise, great big glove box over here, an absolutely massive one. It's actually so massive they can fit a bit of a tow bar in it. There's more in there, by the way. There's just so much stuff in here, it's really good. These seats are brilliant, Raptor seats, absolutely spot on, so comfortable for the long drive. Physical handbrake as well, which is required, of course, for anything to do with off-road. And then this massive box in the centre as well that gives you tons of storage. Just really, really practical car in here, perfect. Other little tips as well, fuel economy, I'm getting about 10 litres per 100 kilometres, but I've seen 8.5. I've just been fairly rough on the last couple of days, I've done a lot of mileage. Fuel economy's gone up a little bit. But other than that, fuel economy is actually pretty good in this. I've done 503 kilometres and I have a quarter of a tank left, so I'm doing okay actually. This touchscreen is perfect, works perfectly every single time. Every time I touch it, it works perfectly. Navigation is even on this. Of course, it is an extra on this car, and this touchscreen is standard. There is only one model, just one model of this Ranger Raptor to buy, and this is it. So everything you see in this video is what you will get in the car if you manage to get one, of course. The problem is getting one. They might end up being sold out very soon. Everything is perfect in the car. Inside here, I absolutely adore this interior. It just works in a functional, smart way. Right, engine off, let's go. Does the back seat work? This is always the flaw of these kind of pickup truck things, is the back seat not working. So come on, let's check it out. So one of the biggest problems with pickup trucks is always that you can't use the pickup part for storing your kind of normal baggage, your day-to-day stuff. You know, like my drone and tripod and things. Because it leaks. They all leak. Every single one of them does. But anyway, back seat, look at that. Room for me here. Easy peasy sitting back here. Also have this, which is like made of iron, but it's a cup holder, works in here too. Obviously this does not fall flat because that's not a boot back there, so they stay upright. But it's actually a comfortable place to hang out. You'd have no problem driving off-road back here. You got some grab handles as well. It's all pretty good. I have a 230 volt or 150 watt 3-pin plug in the back of this car. Handy that. And a 12 volt socket beside it. Now that means you could take one of those USB adapters with all little USB ports on top of it and plug it in there, and you've got 4 or 5 USB ports back here. Clever, isn't it clever? Anyway, this has a big clip that really seals that in so it can't come back out again. Kind of weird that. 3 seatbelts back here. You'd struggle to get 3 adults in here, but you'd definitely get 2 adults with comfort, or 3 kids in the back, or 2 adults and a child in the middle. Should be fine. Anyway, right, the boot pickup bit of it. I love that I can stand up on that. I love that. If I stand up on that and get in, it's just so manly. Difficult shooting conditions today. Sun's out, sun's in, sun's out. This is the boot. Now it's not a boot, you know, it's a pickup truck, so you got the pickup part of it going through. But one thing I want to point out, which is pretty good, it's fairly rare on a lot of these cars, is that when you lock the doors of the car, which I can't find the keys of right now. See how well I stage these things? Anyway, when you lock the doors of the car, you lock the boot as well. When you unlock that, that's pretty good. I like that, because nothing worse than having to find the key for the keyhole to try and unlock that thing. Anyway, there you go. There's the boot. You can, of course, this will carry weight, no problem. You can put a pallet back here if you wanted to. It'll stretch out the top of this. And then you have the mountain top. This is, well, I hate these things actually, but it's locked as well. So you do have to find the key of that, which I think is this one, is it? No. This one. No. No. Okay, I can't find the key of that. One of them is meant to be the key of that, but you can climb up there. Now, of course, there's no shopping bag hooks now, but there is tie-down areas and stuff. So you're going to use this. Why I keep mentioning this as a car, it's pretty hard to do this as a commercial. As a commercial vehicle, this has $2,500 tax on it because it's down as a car, and there's a reason behind that. Our law is a bit weird here. This has to have a certain amount of cargo capacity for it to be a commercial vehicle, and you have to have a tow bar. Tow bar is on, but in actual fact, this tows, the tow capacity is only 980 kgs. That's less than a ton, between 800 and 900 kgs. Now, because it can't tow, it can't tow 3 tons, which is what a wild track can pull. Because it can't tow, we got a problem here being a commercial vehicle. So I'm reviewing this more as a car than a commercial vehicle. It has some tow-out hooks, should you need them to tow yourself out of a ditch or something. Sorry, I locked that. But everything else here is pretty. This is what you're going to get. This is the same thing you're going to get. Now, I just can't find the key of that bloody mountaintop thing. I thought it was one of them. It is locked. Yeah, it is. Anyway, I can't open the mountaintop part. It's locked. What I will show you, though, is strapped to the top of this is actually roof bars. So you can pull the roof bars back down to there. Either side, it might be locked on the far side. These are roof bars. I don't know. It's awkward to move them around though. You have to keep going from side to side. You need a bit of help with this one. But they're forward roof bars, right? No, it won't go independently. It has to be pulled one back and forward. The roof bars allow you to put a roof box over the top of the back of this. It's clever enough, isn't it? I know once this is awkward. This bit looks awkward because it is awkward. But you can see the roof bars here are lockable as well. So when you get them in position, you get your significant other there to go down, and you've got a keyhole on this side so you can lock them in position. I don't have that key either, do I? This car is full of keys, but I have no keys for anything. None of the keys work for anything in this car. Anyway, that's the roof bar system, which is here as well, so that's pretty good. Now, for the important bit, we need to go for a drive. So, come on, let's rock and roll. I might just leave that there, see if it rolls about the place. So, the Ranger Raptor to drive is much closer to being a car than an off-road vehicle. Fox Suspension have done such a good job, mixed with those special tyres that are on this wheel, on the wheels of this 17-inch wheels that are on this as well. It means that when you're cruising on the road here, this is a really, I can't wrap my head around. This road is insanely bumpy. It's all bits and pieces and patchwork quilt stuff laid across this area called the Heath here. And I should be getting hopped around this car. That camera should be vibrating like a lunatic because, well, I'm doing 60 kilometers an hour across really rough terrain. No. Fella the other night was driving along too close behind me, and I was driving through the centre of Portlaoise, came across a speed bump. I just drove over the speed bump like it was nothing. He hit it like it was made of a brick and nearly came to a complete stop. I'd say he just tore the front of his car off nearly doing it. Well, that's what you get for being too close to me, doesn't it, really? I didn't brake around, I just drove over it like I would normally. Even, look, there's a cattle grid ahead. I'm going to prove it. Look, cattle grid, right? Here we go. There's the bridge for the motorway. And first up here, I'm still doing 60. Not going to slow down. Just going to hit the cattle grid. Nothing. I heard it. Now, performance-wise, so you put your foot down now, and that 10-speed box starts to pick up the go here, and away it goes. Really does feel, this is in a normal mode. This is not like high pursuit mode, right? Whatever these modes are, right? So let's look at modes for a minute. I have terrain mode, so normal, then I have sport, which ups the rev. So I have 10 gears to choose from here. Grass, gravel, snow, you select 4 high for that to engage. Mud and sand, select 4 high or 4 low, depending on what you want there. Baja mode, which this car drifts. Yep, it drifts, and that's not a joke, it really does. And then you have rock, so you engage 4 low for that one. But this car will drift in normal mode with the traction control turned on. It's oddball because it's totally rear wheel drive, and it's something you're really going to have to remember if you own this car, that this is rear wheel drive, not front wheel drive. The second point of this is much wider than a standard Ford Ranger or a Wild Track. It's also a bit taller, so it's higher off the ground. The ground clearance is huge. It's got sump guards, everything underneath. This is designed for Baja area. Look it up. I'm not going to explain to you all now. Just look up Baja mode and you'll see what that's about. It's in America and it's very severe land. I've driven at least as severe in Morocco. It's like washboard surface that you drive along. You just look out going, that's definitely washboard, but I'm driving along, it's fine. This is the same. This is sort of a back road, mixed surface, weird feeling to the whole thing. This rides better than most cars. On a motorway, this is almost as quiet as an E-Class with double glazing. Now, there you are now. Mr. Smug mode engaged there. This car, as I said, there's only one, is about 65 grand there, 64,000 something in Ireland for this one that I'm actually driving in. No options, no messing around. There's only one version of it. Now, a cautionary note there, the roundabout thing, because this car will drift as you go through on a damp road, and it does it like sporadically, just for the crack. And it makes the car really interesting to drive. It's a nice place to be. It's also a very cozy cabin. It feels quite nice in here. There's a big, chunky, leather-edged steering wheel here in front of me, and the car feels so well planted and so secure that no matter what happens outside, rain, hail, snow, shine, I'm going to be able to drive through the middle of it, no problem. The drawback is that this car can't really tow. It's only tow rated up to about 950 to 980 kgs, slightly less than a ton weight. Now that means you can put a caravan on. As long as it's less than 980, it should be okay. But it's not to say that it's going to struggle. It's a mix of the engine and the brakes and everything else, and the fact that this car has special kind of design shocks. Remember, this is Ford Performance doing what they do rather than just Ford doing what they do, including Fox suspension and stuff. So all that combined makes this probably my favorite car this year, weirdly. I just love it. There's something about it. It's given me just a sort of an edge of a personality. It just feels like a car that wants to be driven hard. It doesn't mind if you bring your kids or you want to put a donkey in the back of it. It just feels like it'll do all of that and keep on trucking. The letdown is the towing capacity and just that usefulness of a car, that ability to just, you know, if I'm going to spend 65 grand on a car, I want it to be a car that I can throw my shopping into so it won't just go all around that flatbed area. I want to have more practical sort of tie down. So it's a commercial car that's taxed and insured as a private vehicle that can be taxed sometimes as a commercial vehicle. It's confusing. Now, the one thing I have avoided doing is because it's off-roading, right? Now, I have a little off-road course here in the Heath, but it's after lashing rain today, and I mean really coming down, and all that's going to happen is I will plough the ground up because this has proper off-road tyres on it that are mixed surface road tyres as well. But you can absolutely take my word for it. If I get a chance to come back out here again when it dries off a bit, I will, and I'll film the car going off-road. The car is as capable as you can be. Here's a clip of me in Morocco driving it as hard as I can through the worst surface I can find. Oh, that's the tires go. Whoa! He's just gone over that hill. We're going over the hill after him.
I think it's clear.
Once he disappears, I suppose we're alright, are we? No. Otherwise, this is going to end in tears. Sky! Sand! Oh, fuck. Jesus Christ. That was incredible. I thought we were going to just go nose first into that. Me too. I thought it was going to be sand up the bonnet.
Oh my god.
We buried it. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed so far. Hopefully you will join them and become one of those subscribers. A big shout out to Real Engineering, another Irish YouTube channel, who has also subscribed to my channel. Thank you very much. We subscribe to each other. It's very good to have everybody aboard. It's brilliant to have us all here. Try and find some other Irish YouTubers as well. And if you're an Irish YouTuber and you want to get in touch with me to do a collaboration video, then do so. But to all the wonderful subscribers out there, thank you very much. This video, of course, is made possible by the likes of you and the way that you subscribe to this channel. If you can find a way to support this channel in the list of links down below, that's brilliant, but at least subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and until the next time, I will see you on the far side.
Please hang up and try again.